The Holy Gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, according to St. Matthew. Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, "I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" But Jesus answered him, "Let it be so for now, for it is proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness." Then he consented. And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up from the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. In lieu of a sermon today, we're having our Meet the Candidates for Vestry. Vestry leadership is important in every single Episcopal church, and today is our opportunity to meet the candidates who are running for Vestry. So I'm going to ask those of you who are running if you would come up here to the tables. 2 weeks from today is our annual parish meeting. So a reminder about that. Sunday, January 25th, 2 weeks from today. It's an important event in the life of all parishes. And between now and then, what we're doing is we're electing persons for our vestry leadership. What we'll be doing is we'll be voting for one warden for a 2-year term and voting for vestry members. 3 candidates receiving the most votes will have a 3-year term, and the candidate receiving the 4th most votes will serve an unexpired 2-year term. So we're asking for those of you who we have mailed out already the ballots. I got mine in the mail, and I've already returned ours. So deposit your completed ballot in the ballot box that's out here in the reception room prior to the annual parish meeting, no later than 11:15 on that day, Sunday, January 25th. And if you're mailing them in, please get them back to the church office by Saturday, January 24th. So again, the annual parish meeting is 2 weeks from today after this service is over. So roughly about 11:30, 2 weeks from today. We'll have a reception upstairs, and then the annual parish meeting happens at roughly about noon on that day. But this is an opportunity to meet those who are running for vestry. Now, we have one candidate for warden, and he has been in the hospital recently. He's home now. That's Dennis McCoy. He's not able to be with us, although I think he's watching via live streaming. But the biographies for all the candidates are actually, there's a paper out here. They're all out there if you would like to read more. They've answered a number of questions. Dennis McCoy is not able to be with us today, but he has answered a bunch of questions, as well as all of our candidates. The other candidate for vestry is Karen Davidson. She cannot be with us today. She is on a trip that was prior planned before we had this day scheduled, so she is not able to be with us as well. She's running for vestry. But the other candidates are here, and I know not everybody knows everybody, so I want to give this an opportunity to our candidates for them to get to know you a little bit better and for you to get to know them a little better. So I'm going to ask them if they would tell us your name, how long you've been at Calvary, and what you hope to do here, what your vision for Calvary is. So this is now the 3rd time, by the way, we've done this. We did at 4 o'clock yesterday and at 8 o'clock this morning, so I think we have it down. So, Jack, I think you're first.
Jack Saviola. I am a lifelong Episcopalian. Been a member of the parish for just over 2 years. Although my association with Calvary goes back to the early 1970s, I grew up in the cathedral parish and in the cathedral choir, and we used to do an awful lot of joint things with the Calvary music program back in those days. So I've been associated with this place since probably 1970. One of the other things that was asked of us for our first question was what do you see as the major issue that you want to look at? And my issue is my concern about the Episcopal Church, in that our average age of an Episcopalian in this country is over 66 and a half years. And we're a church that is not filled with a lot of young people or a lot of children. So I think going forward in our leadership and our collective community, we need to find more ways to attract more new people and especially attract more young people to our church.
Hi, I am Helen Cochran. I'm just a fairly new member of the church, joining in 2024. I've been an active member of the Altar Guild, have volunteered for Ashes to Go, been part of supporting School 30, Journey's End, Stitch to Buffalo, the Sudan Water Drive, and it really has been an honor to be part of this church. And to all of those who welcomed me in the 10 o'clock service, thank you so much for making this feel like my home. But I've been part of Calvary for a lot longer than that, and Father Robert mentioned the live stream. Back in the darkest days of COVID, on a cold, rainy Christmas Eve, I watched Father Harvey live stream holding a single lighted candle, singing Silent Night while the carillon played. None of you were here. There was no congregation. There was no choir. But there was a church standing tall and reaching out with Christ's love, not only to its parishioners, but also to those beyond the red doors. So when I think about my role with Vestry and what I would like to accomplish, it is continuing to support that dual mission of supporting the members of Calvary and sharing Christ's love throughout the communities it serves. I see a successful 3-year capital campaign. I think Dennis McCoy has rightly named it, Bless This Old House. And that will allow us to shift a lot of our resources and energy from maintaining this beautiful campus to extending the love outward. I see a vibrant Sunday school program changing into a youth ministry, tied into great music, tied into the outreach programs of the church. I see adult ministries growing as well. Now that the buildings are refurbished, adult education can join the ranks of things like Pixie Village and take advantage of what we have that makes Calvary so special. I see us also investing in technology to enhance our live streaming and to connect the parish outside the red walls. Because to me, that Christmas Eve wasn't about one song, one priest, or one candle. It was about this congregation and its commitment to Jesus and its commitment to sharing Jesus through service. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Fleming. It's great to be back among my fellow 10 o'clockers. I've been a lifelong Episcopalian as well. I've been a member of Calvary for about 9 years now. And you may remember me if I took your picture for the photo directory about a year ago. If you're thinking, who is that guy? I read occasionally. I am on our communications committee within the church. And as I think about the next future of the church and the next chapter, I kind of frame it in terms of that communications mission that I'm very familiar with already, which is don't just talk about it, be about it. And I think Calvary has been about it for a long time. What I mean is our pastoral care is second to none. We have fellowship. We have outreach. In every area of the church, people are richly giving of themselves and are doing stuff. And even in terms of our social media management, the top performing Facebook post, for example, is a picture of people doing stuff. Maybe it's gathering up in Houston Hall. Maybe it's doing Ashes to Go. And interestingly, one of the top performing demographics of those posts is ages 35 to 44, which you may not expect. I was surprised to see that. So I think there is obviously a challenge around not just organized religion, but organized civic society is changing, not necessarily in decline, because people are still hungry to belong. They're still hungry for something that is meaningful. They still want to grow, and they still want to help and do something and be about it to make the world a better place. I think Calvary is a great place to do that, and I would continue that work on the vestry. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Howard Craig. I've been a member here at Calvary for just under 4 years. I'm a member of the Outreach Committee as well. The mission statement of Calvary suggests a number of things, including worship, spiritual growth, and service. And it's particularly the latter that interests me the most in terms of my own involvement. As a professional, I'm involved in dealing with people with personal relationships all the time as a counselor and therapist. But I'm also interested in the membership of this church. For instance, what brought people here to begin with? What makes them stay? What are some things that Calvary can do to make everyday life better? Or what needs can we serve? Those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in finding out about. I'm in the process of becoming part of a committee that is going to do just that. We're going to try to organize a strategy where we can begin to reach out to people to find out what they think about what they want, what they need, what they love, and what they feel we ought to be working on in the future, so we can begin to really build a community of opinion and guidance here as part of our moves forward. That's my focus at this point. Thank you.
Thank you all. I want to give you an opportunity to ask the candidates questions. If you all have a question that you would like for them to address. Again, think collectively if you have a question so that they each have a chance to answer. Anyone have a question for our vestry candidates? Yes, Joan.
I was talking to my daughter, who is an older person now, but was, prior to her confirmation, came to church every Saturday for about 4 hours before she was confirmed. While she did that, and she said this to me, "Mom, I not only learned all about the church, but I made good friends that helped me keep coming back." And I thought, wow, that's something maybe we ought to think about doing, because kids don't kind of like to be all alone in something that they're not sure of. And when there are other children that they can interact with, it makes it a lot easier. What do you all think about that?
Okay, that's the question. I want to get a question. In other words, ask.
Well, I just said, what do you all think about it?
Okay, throw that open.
I think the engagement of young people is one of the most critical things that's before us. We, as I said, we're a church with an older demographic, and we need to renew that demographic. We need to renew it by bringing young people in and getting them both interested and then committed to being part of the church. And so it's critical, and interesting you say about making friends. I can truly say that in my life right now, at 69 years old, my closest friends continue to be the boys that I sang with in the early 1960s. Many of them are among my closest friends. Several of them are in the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. Several of them have gone on to become tremendous musicians in their own right, one of whom even won the Pulitzer Prize in music. But those are my closest friends. And it is the church and the institution of the church that created the opportunity for that to happen. We need to be about doing that.
Joan, I think it's a great insight that your daughter brought. I would want to reach out to those involved personally with our youth ministry and ask them, what do they need? What kind of support and programs do they need? And share your story with them and see what sparks it brings. I would also say that that applies not just to the young, but to everybody in this congregation. I had a member of the 8 o'clock service reach me after service, and she wanted to share a few things with Jack and I. And one of them was she was a fairly new member and wished there was more ways that she knew how to connect. Exactly your theme, because she said she felt like she had to work too hard to find out how to participate. And I thought that was a great insight. So I think we can apply that thought, Joan, not just to the young, but to every member of Calvary.
I'll chime in. Great question, Joan. I think the question of how to get young people involved is obviously central to them joining and staying in some of these bigger issues. I think that we do I would say, good, not great job of that. What I mean is, when you're in Sunday school age, you kind of know what's expected of you, and there's a really regimented program for you, which is great. And then if you take Liam, for example, my son who's 14, he's now on the cusp of aging out, and I think we've graciously added a couple levels of Sunday school for people in his situation. So how do we bridge that? And we kind of, right now it's like, well, we kind of hope that he comes back or hope that he keeps coming. I think the last Sunday of the month where we don't have Sunday school, but instead there's opportunities to serve within this very service is meaningful. Maybe we can continue that thought and say, how can we get you involved in the rest of the week and the life of the church? And I don't believe in what you kind of see sometimes, which is like the field of dreams approach, which is if you build it, they will come. I've seen that flame out many times, and I can tell you they will not come, and we'll be here dissecting, why they didn't want to come to church for 4 hours on a Saturday and learn about this and that thing. Like, I think we need to ask the kids, and we need to be willing to be dynamic and innovative and meet them where they are, because, as I said in my opening, there's still a hunger for belonging and for contribution. There's a timeless beauty in what we do here that stands against the endless change that kids and all of us are going through in society. But I do think that we can't just trot out from a supply side what we kind of think they ought to be doing. Let's ask them. In Liam's case, he likes to cook. I've thrown him in the kitchen probably 12 times now. Maybe you've eaten something that he prepared. Hope it was good. So for him, that's been a great way that he can now look at the calendar and say, hey, that soup stroll, I'll see you on Saturday for the soup stroll in the context of how you're serving, and that's serving a great message and, ensuring that we're not Williamsville's best kept secret. So that's not a tidy response, but I think that's the rigor that's going to be required in order to keep them engaged.
One of the things that drew me to the church was the community, and that's what kept me here, was the people that I met. And I have formed some very close relationships here, some close friendships, and particularly amongst young people. That, I think, is one of the keys to getting kids hooked in to really buying into the message of the church. And not only what we can give them, but to sit down with young people and say, what are you looking for in your life? And at this particular age, from middle school and high school on, what are you looking for? What do you want? What do you need? What are you lacking? Those are the kinds of things in a group of kids, they will begin to talk about that, and they will just take it anywhere you want to go with them. So one of the things that I'm looking forward to beginning to do in the project I mentioned a few minutes ago is to be able to sit with young people and say, okay, what is it about this church that you like? What don't you like? But more importantly, as you go out into the world, what scares you? What do you look forward to? What do you dream about? And those are the things that perhaps we can involve them in, and to do it within the context of worship and spiritual growth, to me, gives them a foundation that can last a lifetime.